Hey drummers, Gary Williams is back again, your drum set mastermind and creator of the Drumset Artistry Mastermind group with more books, more very cool drum set books. So this is part 3 in my series. So the first one here is the Drumset Performer by Steve Houghton and Wendell U. Ponce. This is just a bunch of play-along tracks. And again, I was always seeking more and more opportunities to find music to play along with. Also for my students, a lot of this material I was able to draw from students. So they cover quite a few different styles. Some of this was kind of cool because it was newer flavors of stuff. You can check out the titles. So I would just go through all these tracks. There's one with drums, one without, and then, record myself, listen back, just try to lock in. So again, you're playing with some really fine musicians a lot of times in these books. This was just another one. Another one I couldn't find was called The Drumset Soloist by Steve Houghton. That's a fantastic book for those of you out there that are wanting to diversify in terms of ways of soloing in different styles of music, because there is different ways of soloing with their different styles, of course. But there's all these play-along tracks with a click, and you can go through and just solo, starting with some straight-ahead stuff, then it gets into more contemporary stuff. And it just, again, I don't have the book on me, but that book I used quite a bit and really helped me develop some of my improvisational skills. This is another Steve Houghton book, The Ultimate Drum Set Reading Anthology for the Working Drummer. All these different styles, big band, small group, Broadway, in different charts. So again, this was just a big chart kind of book. So I had some bassy straight ahead there, which is great. You Gotta Try, some really classic big band stuff, Magic Flea, wow, that's some cool stuff, really nice stuff. And then it moves into some different small group stuff. Master rhythm parts instead of big band drum charts. Broadway shows, done some of that stuff as well. And it's nice because he actually has some of his notes circled from doing this stuff and just photocopied those charts, circling the changing time signatures. That's a good idea. Anyways, I went through most of this. It was just a really good opportunity, again, to diversify and learn how to play in different styles. Studio work, movie scores. I haven't done those. Here's another book that I really, really like, Working the Inner Clock for Drum Set by Phil Maturino. If I'm pronouncing his name right. Great book, Phil. Gosh, this was such an awesome book. All these different kinds of tracks, lots of reading and hits, some odd meter stuff, Jeff Porcaro kind of stuff. Jeff doing the does. So they work on these different kind of rhythmic things. Doing the does, eating the E's, a lot of E stuff. So you really get inside some 16th note subdivisions. It's just super cool. Really, really liked it. Oh, some of these slower songs in 3 are really cool too, because that's where you rush. So, and you got some places where you're supposed to do some very intricate reading. Concentration is definitely that. I remember having to spend a lot of time, and you have to think your tail off to get through this sucker. To try to memorize it would take forever. If you just got your sharp reading cap on, you can actually make it happen. Spy was cool. So anyways, I played through a lot of that, had some of my students work on it. Again, just more diversification. Back to the world of Latin. I heard this album, Jean-Luc Ponty, No Absolute Time, and the drummer was Mokhtar Samba. Fantastic. So he's got these African rhythms, Independence, and West African rhythms. He's got a new book too. So this was really fun too, because I love 6/8. So I just went through all his patterns in here. And he had a CD track, so I always try to play along with the CD track so I can lock in with the time feel of the author and just kind of absorb some more nuances to add to my repertoire of different ways of playing things. So I always check things off in the book. Very important to me to keep track of what I've gone through and what I've played. So just really, and I always really tried to go through all the entire books if I could. Some of them I didn't, because they didn't really serve a purpose after a while, but just me wanting to get really into Latin was cool. This guy, Garey, I first heard about him from Greg Bissonette. This is a guy Greg Bissonette takes lessons from or had in the past, Jimmy Brandling, the new method for Afro-Cuban drumming, and some really great play-along stuff and some amazing improvisation that he plays. Oh, God, I learned some really cool stuff. This guy is frightening. He's so good. You check him out on YouTube. All these cool little hi-hat variations and there was just a ton of stuff in here that was so cool. Yes, this was the part I liked the most, the ideas for soloing. This to kind of get more inside the way these Latin guys solo and some of the different sounds they get. Just really amazing. And the play-along stuff was tough stuff. But it's a really opportunity for you to get more deeply into all these Latin rhythms and really get that stuff happening. So, fantastic book. The New Bible for Jazz, The Art of Bop Drumming by John Riley. Probably the world's best written book. Can't say enough about this book. It's so perfect for jazz drummers. Recordings are really what you got to have. It goes through all these different things. Tuning, everything. Cymbals, playing areas, setting goals, competition, a lot of like Jedi head talk. Real great stuff. Beautiful photos, famous drummers. Comping exercises that are fantastic. Shows you how to take your comping ideas and paste them and do some rhythmic transposition and on and on and on, comping with the bass drum. I love this book. Soloing goes through this whole process of improvisation that's fantastic, fantastic. Brushes, oh God, I got brush books I've even pulled out. So some really good stuff. All these different styles, some Latin stuff, and then there's 6, I think, full-length play-along tracks in the back. So incredible book. Here's his follow-up, Beyond Bop Drumming. This is really the modern stuff. He gets into some more guys like Elvin Jones, Paul Motian, Ed Blackwell, Tony Williams, Jack DeJohnette, and then, of course, more Roy, and looking at some of this stuff and the transcriptions, because now you're starting to use your hi-hat foot. So this is much more involved than the Art of Bop Drumming. It gets very, very, very deep. And one of the things I go through is I clock the tempos. So like you can see quarter note or half note equals 150. These up-tempo comping exercises are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so that way I can practice things and work myself up to the tempo with the metronome and then know that that's the tempo I want to play it at. Great picture of Tony back in the early bebop days. This whole thing on implied time metric modulation is fantastic. He goes through these different polyrhythms. And they're all played. So you can hear them, you can read them, you can count them. And it gets very, very deep. And so if you really want to get an introduction to polyrhythms, this is it. Goes through standard time analysis with Jeff Tain Watts and all the different modulations that they do with the time. It's just absolutely incredible. Recommended albums to listen to get into this stuff more. More soloing ideas. Some incredible stuff in here. And 5-note ideas. These are really cool. All these little Elvin Jones ideas, these little motifs. And then following along with some of this stuff is incredible on the recordings. Yeah, I touched on this stuff. I haven't gone through all these solos. I had a couple students get way into that. This guy you got to check out, Paul Motian. Great, great stuff this guy does. And then there's these play-along tracks again, which are more beyond bop drumming. This, now he sings, now he sobs. So cool. And then Riley wrote a series of articles for Modern Drummer, and they put them all together in this Jazz Drummers Workshop book, which is really cool. Really, really cool. Style and analysis of different drummers. Odd times. Really wonderful series of articles on odd times. It's all in this book. And then there's an accompanying CD with it. Some very, very cool stuff in here if you really want to get inside some of these great classic bebop jazz drumming players. This is frightening. I made a small dent in Extreme Interdependence. It's a great, great book. Marco Miniman hit the scene, and it's just super challenging. You get into all these different patterns, and it gets really deep. I mean, you can keep going. After a while, it was like, okay, enough of this. I wanted to kind of focus more on some groove stuff because I was already getting into all these different things so heavily that I thought, okay, let's bring it back a little. So I didn't complete the book, but I went through most of it. And then I got into this book just because I want to understand more about this jungle drum and bass. And Johnny Rabb is pretty dang cool at it. There's other guys that are great at it, but I like this guy's playing. Of course, it's nice to have something to kind of get you started. So he goes through his sound setup and how to get some of those sort of sounds in terms of tuning and things that he does. But just really cool, just a bunch of different patterns. You just keep going through these, and before you know it, you kind of start sounding like a guy that's been playing this style. And of course, you need to listen. That's obviously the most key thing. But I always just liked the books that they kind of got me started and got me pointing in the right direction. So I went through about half of this and went, okay, I'm really digging this. I think I got a great taste of that. I was sort of into it, not so much I wanted to complete the book. And then these are two of my really favorite books. The Gavin Harrison Rhythmic Illusions is just absolutely mind-blowing. He goes through all these different modulations, and the demo track will just blow you away. So I started with the metronome slow, just very gradually over periods of time, worked the tempo up. I discovered which of the exercises are actually on the demo track, and I wrote it down. So it's just incredible what this book does. I mean, it's just amazing. Your understanding of modulations and how to do all these different things that he does is just incredible. Hi, oh yeah, there's the drum set soloist. Rhythmic Perspectives. This is the follow-up to Rhythmic Illusions. He called it multi-dimensional drumming. It's layered groove patterns, all kinds of very cool stuff in here as well. Just loved the way he would phrase things and play through things. And then on the CD, listening to it and seeing all the different relationships between the patterns. I didn't spend as much time in these quintups. I don't want to play in 7s and 5s very often. Nobody I know plays in those subdivisions, so I just really didn't go quite into that sort of deeper aspect of outside of 16th notes and then modulations or triplets. Quins I didn't really go into too much, but some amazing stuff in this book. So anyways, that's enough for now. I can get into some other books later, but I hope you got a nice little introduction to all these different kinds of options out there. This is, again, some of the books I've been through. There's quite another chunk that I can talk about, and there's a whole thing on percussion playing when I was in graduate school too. But I won't go into that because I'm going to stick with the drums. So anyways, I hope you liked it. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care and have a great day. Bye.